This video is brought to you by Squarespace. Jedi Fallen Order. We're roughly 40 days from release and they haven't really shown us a lot. Normally, that would be a bad sign. But then we get this trailer. It's 2019 and misleading marketing is pretty popular. They edit trailers to make it seem like you get more content than you actually do. Sometimes they throw in spoilers to make something seem more interesting than it actually is.
Oh, shit.
But how often do we get marketing that's misleading for the right reasons? Let me explain. We're so used to movies and trailers just throwing everything at us that when a game or movie doesn't do that, we don't know if it's because there's nothing there or they just don't want to spoil it. It's true, they haven't really been telling us a lot. Until now. And I think the reason for that is there's more to this game's plot. There's more happening in this game than what they've shown us. So, let's see if we can decipher the secrets. Our protagonist Cal is on a mission to complete his training and rebuild the Jedi Order. But someone else is on a mission as well. And it's not the Inquisitors hunting Cal, because that is their mission, to hunt down those that escaped the Purge. See, Darth Vader isn't stupid. He knows that Palpatine tricked him when he said he could save the one he loves. Which is why in Darth Vader's early years, the time in which this game takes place, he's not fully committed to the dark side of the Force. Not yet. Vader's quest, Vader's mission, is to gain a full understanding of the Force. Mainly as a way to bring back Padme, he is constantly searching for a means to do this. Case in point, Vader Immortal. Darth Vader is searching for an artifact to bridge the gap between life and death. This plot point was actually inspired by Raiders of the Lost Ark. And in the comic Darth Vader Dark Lords of the Sith, Darth Sidious gave Vader a mask that they liberated from the Jedi archives. A mask that had belonged to the ancient Sith Lord Momin. Seeking to construct his own personal stronghold, Vader traveled to Mustafar, where the mask killed Vader's chief Imperial architect, and as Vader examined the mask, it told him of Momin's past. Long story short, this was an artifact, another artifact that Darth Vader tried to use to open a door to the dark side of the Force. And in this trailer, the ninth sister, the second sister, whichever Inquisitor is narrating, you would assume is speaking about Cal.
He's searching for something very precious to the Empire.
With what we know of Vader and his search, I don't think she's speaking about Cal. Although we do see Cal poking around a lot of ruins and a lot of places where artifacts would definitely be. I think that ultimately Cal and Darth Vader are searching for the same thing. This is going to lead their paths to converge. For the uninitiated, Darth Vader and the Inquisitors would often go hand in hand. He would accompany them on missions. They actually have quite the history together, so it makes sense he would be in the game. But how is Darth Vader tied up with the Inquisitors? Who are the Inquisitors? Who's the ninth sister? And how would Darth Vader's history with the Inquisitors tie into Jedi Fallen Order? Well, it's actually pretty cool. In fact, I kinda wish we had a game where we played as the Inquisitors. It'd be nice if once in a while they made a game where we play the bad guys of Star Wars. It would be nice! I don't know when that's gonna happen. Anyway, it's time to deep dive. The Inquisitorius was an organization within the Empire for the express task of hunting all remaining Jedi. The Inquisitors themselves being former Jedi that had turned to the dark side of the Force. While they weren't Sith, they were strong with the Force in various ways. The Ninth Sister's connection to the Force gave her strong empathic abilities. We don't know if we're fighting her or not, but if we were, that would make for an interesting boss battle. I'm kind of picturing a Psycho Mantis type of a situation. Because although she's not a mind reader, her empathic abilities bring her pretty close, as I'll tell you later, with how she read Darth Vader. As for the second sister, her powers over the Force seem tied directly to combat. Which makes sense because we know that we're fighting her. But it would be so cool if we fought multiple Inquisitors, and each of their boss battles were unique because of their powers of the Force. Under their command were Purge Troopers, a subgroup of the Inquisitorius. They were the very last of the clones brought online after Order 66. However, by the events of the game, Purge Troopers were made up of humans instead of clones, which tells us the game takes place after Darth Vader Dark Lord of the Sith, issue 17, or after the year 18 BBY. I wonder if they replaced the clones with humans because of the Order 66 Jedi mind trick loophole that killed an Inquisitor. These are some of my favorite moments in Star Wars when they address things you think about, like Order 66 still being in the minds of some of these stormtroopers. It's still down in there. What would happen if someone triggered it? The first official appearance of the Inquisitors was in Star Wars Rebels, but most of their substance and lore comes from the comic Darth Vader Dark Lords of the Sith. Although it's a Darth Vader comic, it features the Inquisitors often, because although the Grand Inquisitor is the highest-ranking Inquisitor, he and all the others served under Darth Vader. And this wasn't a Palpatine occasionally popping in to see how the regional branch is doing. Vader was kind of low on the totem pole at this point. He was directly working alongside of the Inquisitors on many occasions, including the Siege of Mon Cala. The role that survivors of the Purge played in the early years of the Empire is actually quite significant. You've got your obvious examples like Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda, but the presence and somewhat questionable actions of a Jedi on the homeworld of the Mon Calamari was a deciding factor in the collapse of their negotiations with the Empire, and subsequently, their joining of the rebellion. That's an entire world, an entire race against the Empire, thanks to one pesky Jedi. Which was why the Inquisitorius program was so important and why Palpatine had Darth Vader as the head of the program. All of this was during Vader's early years. The series starts during Episode 3 after a pivotal moment in Darth Vader's life. So it's a younger, newer Vader, which makes for a very interesting dynamic that he has with the Inquisitorius program. Darth Vader would sever body parts as a training exercise in an effort to abandon their tendency to fight defensively as former Jedi and adopt more offensive moves. He stabbed the Ninth Sister in the eye with a lightsaber. Unfortunately, she has a visor, so we can't see if this is post-stabbing, but from my understanding of the timeline, it is. Maybe that's why the second sister fights with such ferocity, to overcompensate. I wouldn't want my limbs chopped off either. But back to Vader's involvement in Fallen Order. Cal Custis, a former Padawan who survived the Clone Wars and Order 66, sought to escape the Second Purge that claimed most of his fellow Jedi by creating a new life for himself on the planet Baraka, working as a rigger with the Scrapper Guild. As you can see, that didn't work out too well for him. Thanks to the Inquisitors, it often doesn't. This was their job, to seek out Jedis and surviving Padawans and slay them. The Witness Protection Program is a little hard with the Force.
That's not how the Force works.
I've seen a lot of people talking about how boring Cal is, and while it would be awesome if we had an alien protagonist like Snit, but the more I see of Cal, the more I think I'll like him. People said the same thing about Arthur Morgan. I remember seeing, oh no, this guy is so basic and boring. Everywhere I saw people saying this about Arthur Morgan. It's hard to believe now, but it was true. Anyway, Cal's journey throughout Jedi Fallen Order is to complete his Jedi training and rebuild the Order he once served. Now, why does he keep going to these ancient-looking places with remnants of Jedi and clone troopers? They haven't broached that yet. Could he be searching for important Jedi artifacts? Probably. There's always an artifact. And Vader is no doubt searching for whatever he's searching for too, as those things are often of interest to Vader in the comics and books as well. Which is probably the reason why they put Vader's breathing where they did in the trailer. Yes, Cal is working with others to try and rebuild order in the galaxy, but I think there's also some other things at play. It definitely feels like there is a chase going on between the Inquisitors and Cal, but it's not just Cal trying to escape death, which I feel is a pretty reasonable theory. Regardless, one is always on the other's trail, not only because Cal is a potential threat to the Empire, and that's literally their job, to kill threats to the Empire, but because what he seeks, they seek. Moving back to what Vader's breathing signifies. Vader's breathing would have no narrative reason to be in the trailer if he isn't in the game, even if he's in the game only for a cutscene. Combine that with how integrated early Vader was with the Inquisitorius program, and it's practically confirmed in my opinion, and you know what? I'm gonna say it. This does confirm that Vader will at least be in a cutscene, and if he's not at least in a cutscene, if he's only mentioned in a collectible or something, I'll give away a copy of the game, and make a director's cut of only the scenes people don't like from Episode 1 and 2.
Oh! Go! Unnatural.
Darth Vader's probably not going to be in gameplay, but personally, I would love the final mission to be an unwinnable battle against Vader. It's just however long you can hold out, but your death is inevitable. Like the prologue for Battlefield 1. Yes, I realize that's just the game version of Rogue One's ending, but I think that only proves my point. This game would be a great opportunity to show a part of Vader that we don't often see. But what about the ninth and second sister? We're gonna go into their lore in exactly 60 seconds, after we find out how Keanu Reeves would make a website. Squarespace is a simple but robust way to create your presence on the internet. Whether you're a blogger, a photographer, a musician, or a samurai who sells motorcycles, your website is your connection to the world. And what better way to showcase what you do than with award-winning designs and powerful tools? With hundreds of guides and 24/7, 365-day-a-year support and tons of stunning templates, it's as simple or as deep as you need it to be. They have all the tools you need to run a podcast, create an elegant and effortless portfolio, run an online store, or publish a blog. Basically, Squarespace makes it easy to power what you do so you can focus on your craft. Go to squarespace.com to sign up for a free trial with no credit card required. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/MassiveG to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain using code MassiveG. Comic Vader is hardcore. You think movie Vader is ruthless? Well, he is, but Comic Vader is unbridled ruthless. Speaking of which, you can get a feel for the true power of the Force in this trailer from the second sister. There's not much restraint here, and that's awesome. This slow landing that she does is so cool. I love it. Give us more awesome Force stuff, please. Seeing the Inquisitors in this realistic, lifelike fidelity after only seeing them in comics or Rebels art style is unbelievably cool. They really made these work. Like the ninth sister. She looks stunning.
And girl, you better work.
Although I wish we could see her lower half. Something happened to one of her legs that I won't spoil, but it would help us place all of this in the timeline. The ninth sister is a female Dowatan, a species you'll remember seeing in The Force Awakens. You wouldn't know it to look at her, but she's quite intelligent and analytical. She's not particularly strong in combat, but she's strong with the Force, and quite adept at reading people with it. So far as to even be able to practically read Darth Vader's thoughts when he accompanied her on a mission. A mission in which Vader became the target of some bounty hunters, and she refused to help him. Ballsy. But remember, in universe, not everyone kowtows to Vader. Especially not this early. Like the other Inquisitors, she wields a double-bladed lightsaber. Whether or not she can helicopter remains to be seen.
My rafflecopter goes swa 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 swa.
Good God. The second sister we know nothing about. Like other Inquisitors, she's ambitious and cruel. She's an expert lightsaber duelist and adept with the dark side of the Force. Like the others, second sister used to be a Jedi. Her greatest weapon is supposed to be her preternatural ability to predict the behavior of her prey, which I'm guessing is tying into the plot more so than the gameplay. So it may not be like Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, where you fight a bunch of Inquisitors and they each have a different grasp on the Force, and the way they use the Force against you is different each time. Would have been cool, but from what I played at E3, the fights with her are going to be awesome regardless. Who she used to be, developers have said it's not Barra Safi. Could be a completely new character, an established character, or one of those two-sentence Wikipedia articles. If you're looking to learn more about her in the comics, she's only in a panel or two with no lines. It looks like her story was kept purposefully mysterious for Fallen Order. It seems the Inquisitors are actually going on a hunt in the way that they do in the comics and the lore, which is way cooler. I could totally see this game looking at the Star Wars universe and the Star Wars lore through the same lens that the comic did. Not just how it deals with the Inquisitors or Darth Vader, but the more intricate gray areas of morality. I'm usually more of a movies fan when it comes to Star Wars than an expanded universe books fan, but this comic, and lately a lot of expanded universe stuff, isn't gratuitously crazy for the sake of upping the stakes or just doing weird Star Wars-y stuff. It takes a more level approach while expanding and going deeper. The Jedi weren't always great, and the Empire, Well, the Empire was the Empire, but it was awesome. Regardless, I just don't want the game to be super clean, super safe, super basic. If you're gonna give us the same story we've gotten countless times, at least give us a different perspective on it. Explore interesting areas that haven't been explored with that sort of story before. Lightsaber on Lightsaber Combat looks exactly as I want it to. In my opinion, the gameplay that I played at E3 plays a lot better than it looks in the last trailer. And people keep comparing this game to Uncharted, but I think it's a lot closer to the new God of War, where it's that sort of open world game except with planets. Also Darksiders, some Metroid, some Castlevania thrown in, of course. And finally, they've made some improvements to lightsabers. The core is now that lovely white instead of this big muddled blue. There's a weird transparency going on. I would like the lightsaber to be more solid, but that could be fixed before release. From what I played at E3 and from what I saw in this trailer, I'm kind of excited again. Could they possibly be saving the best stuff for the game and not the trailers, and not giving everything away in the trailers because what we're to see in the game is too cool to spoil? Is that a possibility in 2019? Let me know in the comments what you think. And would you have preferred a game where we played as one of the Inquisitors, or Darth Vader and the Inquisitors, instead of playing as a Jedi on the hunt from them? Personally, I like the hunt, but I'm a huge fan of the Empire, so I would have liked to have seen a dark side video game again. That would have been cool. But right now, that's all we know. Once we have more information, I'll make another video. In any case, I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, leave a like or subscribe for more videos like this. Thanks again to Squarespace for sponsoring this video, and I've got a link in the description to Squarespace. If you want to make an awesome website, they're the place to go. Until next time, may the Force be with you. Always.